Whoa, buddy. Put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
The greed and the entitlement is astounding to me.
What more could you want from a low-budget radio program?
This is a dumpster fire.
That's just BS.
It is time to get a new perspective.
We know just what you need, and we've got just the cure. Open wide and prepare for a steaming hot cup of freedom.
I just don't fathom it.
The Michael Dukes Show, streaming live across the world.
Live around the world on the internet at MichaelDukesShow.com and across the state of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station and or FM translator. Good morning, good morning, my friends. Welcome to it. It is the Michael Dukes Show, and it is the Monday edition of the Michael Dukes Show. And, well, it's pretty exciting to be alive in one more day right here, ready to go. And we're ready to dive into it with commentary, discussion, and so much more. Thank you for being part of it today with us today on the program. Joining us in hour 2 today will be Willy Keppel, who is from Quinnahock, which is a few dozen miles outside of Bethel, and he is running for the legislature on the Veterans Party ticket. And so we're hoping to have a good conversation with Willy about all the things that are important to him out in the village and out in the bush. And we'll get a good discussion with him coming on here in hour 2. And hopefully that'll give us a little bit of an insight into what's happening out into the more rural areas of the state. He's running for House District 38, which is the seat currently held by C.J. McCormick. And so he's the only non-Democrat in that race. So this should be interesting. This should be an interesting discussion in hour 2 to see what exactly is happening out there. And so again, that's House District 38 with Willy Keppel in hour 2, and we'll be enjoying that later on in the program. In hour 1 this morning, we're just going to hang out. I've got a few headlines from around the state. And of course, we're just enjoying the fact that the rain has finally, fingers crossed, finally abated. We hope that's the plan anyway. Please, Lord, let there be no more rain for just a little bit. That's all we're asking. Can we have just a little bit of no rain? So we're working on that right now, and we're loving life and hopefully enjoying a great week. Now, a little bit of housekeeping, a little bit of personal housekeeping, and I know everybody puckers up when I say that, but that's just how it is. This Friday, the show will be on hiatus. We will be off the air on Friday. You will be tasked with alternate programming. Why? Because it's my birthday and I got stuff to do. I got things to do, and I got a lot of. This has been. I will tell you right now. You don't know exactly what's going on in my life, but this is an exciting summer for me. Exciting and terrifying all at the same time. And I got a lot of stuff happening. and I got a little bit of that stuff to pick up here. But this Friday, and in fact, Friday and probably the following Monday, I will be off as well. Have not yet decided on the Monday issue, but we will see. We'll see as we get closer on in the week, because I'm going to be traveling and I need to. I got stuff I need to do. Got stuff I need to do. So hopefully we'll know more about that here in the next couple months or so. We'll see what happens with that. So hiatus. Yes, I'm sorry. I will be off the air. Brian's like, hiatus? What does that word mean? I mean, he probably knows. But I will be off the air on Friday for sure. And potentially on Monday, the following Monday. It just depends on how much I get done coming up to the end of this week. So that is the I'm okay. It's all good. It's all good. I just got a lot of stuff, a lot of balls in the air trying to juggle and make some stuff happen. So I just wanted to get that out of the way first things first, just so that I don't forget, because I could go the whole show and then remember at the very end that I was supposed to mention it. And the listenership really doesn't like it when I spring the whole, by the way, I'm not on tomorrow kind of thing. So there you go. All right. What is on the agenda for hour one? We have got a lot of stories that are all circling around some specific things. Now, first and foremost, I find it highly interesting, not entertaining, but interesting that that the Democrats, specifically the Democratic PACs, have really been pushing an agenda out there. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to utilize the jungle primary component of ranked choice voting during the primary process here to really, really push on the top three Republicans. And I think they're trying to really kind of push and confuse the field and try and split that vote three ways. What am I talking about? Well, there is a group out there called Vote Alaska Before Party. Now, they're the ones that are doing a lot of this. And if you have watched any, I don't know, I would say television, but since I don't have broadcast TV, I'll tell you where I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it a ton on YouTube. And also, we watched a movie on Freevee on Friday or something, and that's movies with ads, right? And I saw one there as well. But there have been a ton of ads that have been pushing hard against Nick Begich, Nancy Dahlstrom, and Gerald Hikas, which, if you have not been, unless you've been really paying attention to Alaska politics for like the last 15 or 20 years, you've never heard of Gerald Hikas. You don't know who he is. He's been, he's a perennial candidate. He's run for all different kinds of things over the course of the last 15 or 20 years. He's run for governor. He's run for the House before. And what else is he? It was something else. He first entered the 2006 gubernatorial race because, he said he was called by God to do so. He also serves as a minister in a church, run numerous times for governor, for the U.S. Senate, for the U.S. House. Each time he's garnered between a few hundred and a few thousand votes. He considers himself a constitutional Christian conservative. Now, he has no fundraising. He has not done any fundraising. He hasn't created a website. He hasn't done anything. And basically, he's out there utilizing the platform of elected office to talk about his agenda, which is totally within his right to do. I have no problem with that. I've seen plenty of candidates who've done that in the past who say they know that they have no interest in they have no chance of actually winning, right? They're the dark horse in the race. They know that their chances are excruciatingly low, if not damn near impossible, but they're utilizing it to talk about stances and issues that they care about. Now, the Vote Alaska Before Party has pushed very hard, and they're focusing in on the anti-abortion stance of all three candidates. Gerald Heikes is probably the most outspoken opponent of abortion, which, again, that doesn't bother me. I mean, the ads, here's what kills me. The ads are really not targeted to somebody like me. They're targeted to somebody who is more moderate, probably more liberal-minded. They are basically scare ads and attack ads that basically go after each candidate about their position on abortion. Now, both Begich and Dahlstrom have said that abortion should be a state issue. That while they both personally disagree with abortion and they oppose abortion, they think the issue should be left up to the individual states. Heikes is the only one that basically has said that he is 100%, full on a no, and that the state should not be producing it or not be providing for it as well. This is an interesting take here because what you have is a bunch of groups that are basically loosely organized together. They all run in the same circles. John Lotzfeld is quoted in the article in the ADN, and John Lotzfeld is a mover and a shaker amongst the Alaskans for Better election crowd. He's been a guy who's worked behind the scenes for many Democratic candidates and many Democratic causes. He has organized and coordinated, kind of PACs and all the different monies that are going on out there. And he's quoted in here basically as, saying they're going to take all your stuff away from you. They're going to take away your freedoms. And this is just one of those things where they're going to utilize all that dark money that ranked choice voting, that ballot measure number 2 is supposed to take away. And they're going to try and utilize all that dark money to create this scare tactic to basically increase the name recognition of a candidate who nobody would have ever heard of. So that there truly would be. They're trying to split the votes off of somebody like Nick Begich, essentially. Because I think Begich has a pretty significant lead right now in overall, anecdotally, that's what I'm seeing. And they're trying to find a way to split more votes off the Republicans and make it a three-way race in that regard. Because eventually, those four, Peltola plus Heike, Begich, and Dahlstrom, are going to be on the ticket come November. Now, again, Nick Begich is the only one that has committed to pulling out if he doesn't win the primary. Heike has said that he is not going to. He says, I'm not going to back out. He said he's going to he's not going to back out if he loses the primary. He plans to remain in the race no matter what the outcome of that race is. And this is going to have some interesting consequences here. Now, remember, the primary is a pick one primary. So it's not ranked choice. It's jungle primary. So you only get to pick one in the primary. In the general, you'll get to pick 4. Are you confused yet? This is part of the reason why. And you'll be voting yes on repealing ranked choice voting, right? You'll be voting yes. Heike has also said something that was pretty disturbing to me. He said in the ADN article that he opposes He said that in the November election, when Alaskans have the opportunity to rank multiple candidates, he intends to vote only for a single candidate. He says, I don't rank anybody. It's a one-shot deal. Now, this is exactly what happened during the Palin race. Palin-Begich, per the last House race, is that Republicans or conservatives in a fit of pique because they didn't like ranked choice voting, they said, well, I'm just going to only vote for one. And they basically shot themselves in the foot. The ballot exhaustion was huge. Republican voters' aversion to ranking more than a single candidate played a part in Peltola's 2022 victory. That year, Peltola faced two challenges, Begich and Palin, and they spent much of the weeks leading up to the election criticizing each other and the voting system, accumulating in Peltola's victory. I mean, if there was something to be learned from that, it was that. They were criticizing ranked choice voting, and instead of saying, look, we may not like it, but it's the law of the land and we need to do it, and if you want to have a conservative in there, you need to rank the red, that's what we should have done. I told Terry, I said, it's actually ironic that I'm looking forward to being able to vote with ranked choice for this presidential primary, simply because I get to vote for the guy that I wanted to vote for anyway, and then still throw my hat into the ring for the lesser of two evils at the other end. I mean, why not? It's the law. Until they repeal it, I'll use it. That's how it is. But this is an interesting thing. Now, again, Begich reiterated Thursday that he plans to drop out of the race if he finishes behind Dahlstrom in the primary. But of course, that still means that there'll be more than one Republican because there's 9 other candidates outside of them, and most of them are Republican candidates. Again, this is the problem. There's not a whole lot of Democratic candidates in that list of, you notice that, right? It's only the Republicans that turn around and end up shooting themselves right in the keister on this deal. Let's circle the wagons, boys, and then shoot inward because we can. All right, we're going to open up the phone lines this morning for Hour 1. Willy Keppel in Hour 2. Phone lines are open now at 319-527-3864. 319-527-3864, The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Back with more after this.
Running on 100% pure beard power. Oh, also some coffee. We dip our beard in coffee.
Nice beard.
The Michael Duke Show.
All right. We got some stuff happening. Look at that. I spent some time on Friday getting Rumble to work properly, which was, oof, baby. That was a little more complex than just the turnkey stuff of everything else that I've got going on. So I see that there's 2 people watching on Rumble right now. And I'm hoping, I think one of them's me. So I'm hoping, let me just say, this is a test for StreamYard. Okay. Let me just put that up there. Okay. So if you're in Rumble right now, feel free to sound off and, do it. Look at that. Look at that. There you go. So I can now show comments from Rumble. Oh, I don't have the little icon. That's weird. The other ones, the other comments, there's Captain's saying, good morning, Captain. See, like when we say Jack's morning comment, you could see the little Facebook logo. For some reason, the Rumble logo is not showing up. I don't know. Anyway, if you see a little circle without the icon, it means it's on Rumble. So that's not a me problem. That's a StreamYard problem. Okay. Oof. They are making claims against those 3 that are false. No exceptions. Well, Heikes has said he's a no exception candidate. Dahlstrom said she for cases of rape and incest. And I haven't seen Nick's comments, but it doesn't matter at this point. Good morning. Good morning. F-22s deployed from J-Bear to the Middle East. I didn't hear about that, but thank you for the heads up on that, Rick. I guess that's it. I guess I'm all caught up. That's kind of weird. If Nick drops out, says Terry, I'll write him in. Yeah, that's probably not a good idea. Michael Chambers says Ross Beeling was the only candidate in Alaska who actively promoted ranking the red. He advertised to vote for him and Julie. This is precisely why she won. She never thanked him. Yeah. Good morning. Good morning from My Snare Wolves, AK Freedom. Oh, okay. I guess it's Bill. It's Bill. And then Captain is Greg. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So lots of folks showing up over on Rumble. You'll have to let me know how the Rumble experience is. Now, the one downside is I cannot put out, I could type a single message here in my StreamYard, and it will send it to both Facebook. It'll send it to both Facebook and YouTube at the same time. But that's that doesn't work. I have to go over to Rumble to actually type something in Rumble. So, all right. I see there's a bunch of you over who've now skipped over to Rumble. I got 10 over there. So there you go. Whoa, that wasn't what I wanted to do. It wasn't what I wanted to do. Okay. We are ready to go. And there doesn't seem to be much of a delay on Rumble. So that's kind of nice. That's kind of nice. I'm just telling 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7-second delay on Rumble. All right. Well, we're ready to go. And typing and talking does not work for MD. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I could do it, just, not if I'm trying to have a deep conversation or think, not if I'm trying to come up with something to talk about on the fly, or I'm pontificating on a subject. I can't talk about something while typing about something else. My brain does not. I could talk and type all the time. It's just when I'm talking about something that requires deep thought that I'm definitely not, there. All right, here we go. Jumping back into it. The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense, Liberty-Based, Free Thinking Radio. Let's do it.
The Michael Duke Show. Not your daddy. Wait, sorry. Not your daddy? Ooh, not your daddy's talk radio. Whew. I was scared for a second. Thought we were going down. Here's Michael Dukes and the show.
Okay, broadcasting live around the state of Alaska and around the world, as well as on Facebook, YouTube, and now on Rumble. For those of you who, I know people have been doing Rumble for like Dan Bongino and some other guys that have got out daily shows out there. The chat room finally talked me into switching over to Rumble. So here we are. We got to just search up my name and you'll find it. And we're doing it over there. We're doing it over there as we go through. All right. So we were just talking about the push by Vote Alaska Before Party, one of the big PACs out there. They've spent nearly $1 million in just the last couple of weeks. I mean, they have spent a tremendous amount of money to try and paint the three Republican candidates all with the same brush. And I don't think that they're being accurate with some of their stuff, but it's an interesting ploy. It really is an interesting ploy to try and I think to muddy the waters amongst all that stuff. Now, I don't know if it's going to work because I have a feeling that Alaskans have are starting to solidify in their choice. They're starting to solidify in their choice. Must Read Alaska is now reporting that 30% of Alaska's Republican districts have now endorsed Nick Begich for Congress. Republican committees in District 1 in Ketchikan and District 28 have now voted to endorse Nick. Both Nick and Nancy attended a candidate forum in Ketchikan, and the decision by the district was made after the forum ended and the district had a chance to discuss the candidate. Dahlstrom has not received a single endorsement from a district. Districts that have announced their endorsement for Begich now include 1, 6, 8, 17, 23, 25, 26, 28, 29, 34, and 36. Also, 6 of 7 Alaska Republican women's clubs and both of the young Republican clubs have endorsed Begich. Not all districts in Alaska have organized Republican groups, but he's got 30% of the districts have now endorsed him in one way or the other. The rest of the districts have made no commitment to any Republican whatsoever. But 30% is a pretty big number right now. Now, the problem is, of course, is that Nick's got an uphill battle. He's got to battle a little bit against Nancy, although he's been very mild about it. He's not been mean. It's not like when he and Palin were basically slogging it out during the last election cycle, where they were riddling each other full of bullet holes and ignoring Mary. He's been going after Mary Peltola pretty hard. But he's being outspent by Peltola. It's not even close. It is a factor of, I think she's raised 10 times as much money as he has, because the money is pouring into Alaska like crazy. Not just direct campaign money, but the PAC money. Hundreds of thousands of dollars a day to try and stop Nick and to bolster up Peltola. They're working hard. They're working hard to save her in a year when Trump is on the ballot, and they feel like this is going to be a tough deal when many Alaskans are actually going to come out to the polls, because this is when the presidential election really shines through, is when many of these candidates are going to show up and do it to it. And she has got millions of dollars in her own war chest, let alone all the PACs, to be able to return her to Washington. And what is Nancy doing? Well, apparently she's going to, instead of battling it out with Mary, she's going to do the Palin route, and she's going to try and battle it out with Nick. There's been a poll, and Must Read, Suzanne Downing calls it a stealth poll that's actually acts more like it's a push poll. A stealth poll is being conducted in Alaska among likely primary voters this week. The liberal voters are getting a push poll message that diminishes Mary Peltola and enhances the image of Nancy Dahlstrom for Congress. The conservatives in the state, however, are getting a different message. They're being told that Republican conservative Nick Begich is bad and that Nancy Dahlstrom is good. Now, Nick is endorsed by the Freedom Caucus, but the phone poll hired hand isn't mentioning that. Who's doing the poll? Sources say that it's not really a poll, but a phone banking operations under the guise of a poll. Begich has agreed to stay positive about the other Republican candidates, of which Dahlstrom is one. She's also made that agreement, but the poll is being conducted by a group that is clearly associated with Dahlstrom. And again, this is part of the problem with PACs and things like that, is that you as a candidate cannot control them. You do not have a say in the matter, right? There's by federal election law, there can be no contact or coordination between a candidate and a political action committee. They're two separate entities that cannot coordinate and organize. Wink, wink, wink. Right? Now, there's only 10 days left in the primary. There's 8 days left in the primary, actually, because it's the 12th today, and that means there's only 8 days left in the primary. How many of you have voted? Raise your hand. How many of you have voted already? Raise your hand. You've only got 8 days left to do it. And the group supporting Dahlstrom's are spending $1 million in Alaska in those 10 days. These last 10 days, they're spending $100,000 a day to try and get Nancy Dahlstrom over the hump here. Word out of D.C. is that if Dahlstrom finishes behind Begich, she'll be asked to get out of the race. Thus, some desperation may be at work. To which I would say, good. If she is asked to get out of the race, that's good. That's what Nick is already committed to. Why should there be any desperate? Here's the problem. I'm sure Nancy Dahlstrom is a wonderful person. I have never met her. I have never spoken with her. I am unfamiliar with anything that she has done that has, I'm not aware of anything that she has done. I'm not even gonna qualify that. I'm just not aware of any of her achievements, I guess, is what I would say, in the legislature or out. I mean, she's spent some time in government, in the elected official position, and then as in the bureaucracy, and now here we are. I mean, she is just she is like the bland, inoffensive candidate that nobody knows anything about. Do we have any of her positions? Do we have any? I mean, we invited her on the program, and I don't think maybe I should check my email, but I don't think I ever received a response back from her, from anybody in her campaign. Because I sent out it was 126 emails or something to candidate interview request. Let me go over here to my, I think this was it right here, wasn't it? There we go. You send out 126 emails, and I don't think I ever received an email from anybody that I'm just scrolling through the answers real quick to see if anybody his name. No, I don't see any response at all from her, from anybody in her campaign. This is a lot of emails. I'm just scrolling real quick through all the replies real quick, just to make sure, because I hate to be made a liar of myself. I mean, it's always possible that I missed a reply or something, but no, I've looked at all the replies are read, and I don't see anything from anybody who is running for who is from Nancy Dahlstrom's race. I'm looking to see which email that I sent it to, because all the emails that I used for this all the email addresses that I used for this email came from the State of Alaska website, where they officially signed up and they put all that information out there on the deal. Nancy at gci.net. That's the email address so anyway, no response. So there you go. Well, I mean, what are you going to do? If they don't want to respond, they don't want to come out, they don't want to talk to you about all of the stuff, then how are you supposed to respond to that? And now they're going to spend $100,000 a day trying to convince us that this is the right thing to do. Carlene is on the line, calling from Kodiak this morning. Good morning, Carlene. What's on your mind?
Yes, about Nancy Dahlstrom. She flew over to Kodiak to be interviewed by the Kodiak Mirror. And it's in the newspaper on Tuesday, July 30th. And what I have a problem with is Nancy Dahlstrom was the head of She was the head of the Department of Corrections. In 2018, she was appointed by Dunleavy. And in the newspaper, she said, so we initiated educational opportunities, giving people an opportunity to get a GED and offering online classes, lots of mental health help, addiction treatment, and lots of faith-based programs. I know that we improve the opportunities for people. The problem is I have a very good friend who has worked in corrections. And all of these programs were already there. So I just have a big problem with this.
Well, I mean, I think, again, she has no real, they're just, nothing comes to mind when you talk about achievements. What were they working on? What is she passionate about? What is she known for? What positions has she taken on certain issues or anything? And nothing comes to mind. I mean, I can think of candidates that I completely disagree with, that I know what their stance is on certain things or what they've tried to achieve. And yet with her, there's just, it's a big nothing burger. And I just don't know, I just don't know what's going on with that. But all right, Carlene, go ahead.
Oh, I just get the impression that she's incredibly ambitious, but it's not for us. She just wants to get there, is the impression that I have.
And maybe that is the case. I don't know. That could be the case, Carlene. Although I get the impression that she's just basically filling the slot because somebody in Washington, D.C. told her to fill the slot. That's kind of the impression that I'm getting. But thank you, Carlene, for your call. We got one final segment dead ahead. The Michael Duke Show continues. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Back with more right after this.
What is that?
Common sense. Regularly heard on American radio. Michael Duke Show. Radio.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. And yet they did not spend any money with the Michael Duke Show. Well, that's true. They did not even spend any money with me. I mean, I just don't even know what that is. That's true. That's just, when Nick comes out in the head of the primary, the ARP should sit down with Dahlstrom to bow out and support Nick. I mean, I think that's kind of what the buzz is that, I mean, that's what Must Read was referring to, is that out of Washington, the word is that if she doesn't come in first, they're going to ask her to step out. We'll see what that's doing. Brian said he got the poll. Brian, tell me more. I'm kind of interested. I mean, if they went negative on Nick, what was there to go negative on? I mean, because he's related to Democrats? I don't know what, Brian says, it was pretty obviously not a poll. My alter ego Darrow is often polled by regressive groups. Yeah, she hasn't even addressed the voter rolls. As the leader of the Division of Elections, you think she would have at least done some work to clean up something in there. And Terry says, and right there is the problem. What has she done? I mean, it's not like I'm even looking for accomplishments. I'm just looking, what does she even stand for? Does anybody even know? What is she? I mean, what is she even passionate about? What positions is she taking? Michael Chambers has some things that, not so nice things to say about Nancy on that, I guess. Charlie says, I asked Dahlstrom about her achievements, and all she could tell me was about the positions she's held, not what she's done. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's pretty much it. Rick says, I'm heading to town today, lots to do, and voting is on my list. Maybe a cinnamon roll at a little bakery. Ooh, do tell. Who's got good cinnamon rolls at a little bakery? I want to know. Kyle says the utilities taking legitimate steps to import to the Kenai Peninsula is huge news. Yeah, we're going to get to that here in just a minute. And then Eisner Wolves just sent me another email, Justine@nancyforalaska.com. I don't know who that is, but I suppose I can send out another email. I just went to the email that they listed in their official, registration. When they registered to become a candidate, that's the email address that they put on there. Herder says, I find it curious in her ads that she won the battle with the PFD. I didn't even heard her ads. I haven't even heard her ads. Let's see. Apparently the bakery is the old North Star Bakery, now called Crumbly. Okay. Yeah. Nancy's fallback is the governorship. I mean, do you really think she would have a chance at being governor if she'll have plenty of name recognition off the race from the House race, but what has she done? And from what I've seen, I have not watched any of the forums, the candidate forums between her and Nick, like they were just talking about the one in Ketchikan recently. But my understanding is that it's pretty one-sided, that she does not seem to have, again, I'm getting this secondhand, she does not seem to have a firm grasp on the issues compared to Nick. So, I mean, I don't know. Justine is her manager. Okay. Justine is her manager. Okay. Well, I mean, we'll see if I can, we'll see what I can fit in. I just realized that I was supposed to have Nick on the show on Monday, and I'm thinking about taking Monday off. God, it's going to blow my whole thing, isn't it? Yeah, Monday's the 19th. Damn it. Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. We will see what we shall see. Okay. Save me a chocolate virtual donut. Don't eat my chocolate virtual donut. All right. Fine. Man, real donuts sound good this morning. I feel like splurging this morning. I don't know why, but I just feel like splurging. Maybe a big crumb donut. Maybe a big crumb donut from Dino's. Ooh, that sounds delicious. All right, here we go. Jumping back into it. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio.
If you missed the show, you can listen to it on your time with Dukes on Demand. Oh, and it's free. Like America used to be. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com. Public enema number one. Oh, wait, sorry. Enemy. Public enemy number one, which makes more sense. On the other hand, he's a little bit of a pain in the Michael Duke Show.
See, that's what happens when you push the wrong button. You just let it roll. I mean, why not? Welcome back. The Michael Duke Show continues. We've got a couple other pieces of good news, and that I think is interesting to dive in on. There's a big case going on right now in front of the Regulatory Commission of Alaska, and it has to do with natural gas rates. And I think it's interesting to see that Chugach Electric is taking on kind of a bigger visible role in this discussion about Cook Inlet gas and everything else. But right now they're facing an interesting conundrum in front of the RCA, where there is an organization called Renewable Energy Alaska Project, or REAP. It's an advocacy group that is using the help of Earth Justice. It's a law firm, an environmental firm. And they're asking Chugach to create a two-tiered rate system for people who use less kilowatts. They pay a lower rate. People who use more than a certain amount will pay a higher rate, 30% higher rate. And it's an interesting article in the ADN. You should go out there and take a look at it. It's an interesting way to try and address the gas supply issue, the fact that we're running out of gas. The other interesting story on this right now is that there is there's a discussion going on between who was it? I'm sorry, I'm looking for I got too many stories up right now. Too many windows up. That there is some interest with a Texas company about natural gas and a potential for signing an importation deal with one of these Texas companies. And for some reason, I've lost the window and I don't know where it is. Anyway, that's good news. Somebody is finally going to do, here it is. Texas company says it's in advanced discussions with Alaska Utilities on plan to import natural gas to South Central. Accelerate Energy said it's working on a plan to procure and deliver natural gas to South Central to address dwindling gas reserves in Cook Inlet, executives of the company said in a call with financial analysts. So there's some good news there, man. Good news that maybe they're going to finally address it in a way that makes sense. I mean, I would love to be able to burn Alaska gas. Abso-freaking-lutely. Love to be able to burn Alaska gas. But if we can't do it because of financial reasons, like financially it doesn't make sense, then I guess we should look at the next best option, which would be importation. So we'll see what comes out of this. I'm sure we'll be discussing these two articles, the analysis of the Chugach case and the discussion about Accelerate tomorrow with Brad. I'm sure those will be two big topics that he'll want to dive into, and we'll get some better and deeper analysis on that tomorrow with Brad as well. But I wanted to grab out over here and again highlight one of our Alaska hometown heroes. Kristen Faulkner is again back in town, and she's been talking with the local media. I mean, I don't know if she's back in town, but she's talking with the local media anyway. And she's now headed off to the Tour de France. She's done it one, and she's on her way out. She delivered a stunning performance yesterday to finish first in the women's road cycling events. Last Sunday, and just 3 days later, she secured another gold when Team USA defeated New Zealand in the women's team pursuit finals. And then she's headed over to the Tour de France. And I just got to say, it's been amazing. I didn't realize that she'd sustained an injury in a biking accident, and she spent most of last summer in Homer trying to rehabilitate. And she said she went home to Homer. It said it's her favorite place in the world, and she could have trained anywhere, but she wanted to be home. And so she trained at home. And now she's saying she won't be able to make it back home until Christmas time because she's got a lot of more work to do. But she's headed over to the Tour de France after winning 2 gold medals. I'm just pleased as punch. I'm just pleased as punch that somebody from Alaska again. I mean, and there's been some real gold medal athletes come out of this state. And I love to see it, especially, from folks that we know or hear about and that are neighbors. It's good to see them be recognized as the top in the world. And makes me happy. I mean, I didn't have anything to do with it, but it almost makes you feel like, you know what I mean? When people in your community do something like that, it almost feels like you're a part of it. So congratulations again to Kristen Faulkner for, going out there and living the dream with those big old gold medals. So congratulations, I guess, is what I'll say there when it's all said and done. No, I was going to talk about this other story, but it's kind of a downer, so I'm not going to talk about it, because who needs a downer? What we need is a big weekend pick-me-up, a big Monday pick-me-up. And I guess I'll say to that it's not raining. Feels good, man. Feels good. And to remind you that coming up on this Friday, I will be I'll be on vacation because I got things to do for the birthday. So we're going to be traveling, doing some things. I got a lot of stuff to do here at the end of the summer, and hopefully we'll tell you more about it here as over the next couple months, and we'll let you guys know kind of what's happening. But I got a lot of work to do. Not nearly as much as all those poor people in Juneau who had all their homes. Did you see the video of that? Did you watch the video of some of the stuff that was happening in there? I mean, it wasn't as dramatic as the house last year that got swept down the river, but it was. It was plenty dramatic enough. All I could think of was, oh man. I mean, I know how tough it is to move, let alone now all your stuff is wrecked and you got to lay it out on the lawn to dry and everything else. My heart goes out to those folks. Definitely a tough situation down in Juneau. And now the question is, how do we prevent it again? Is that a once in a lifetime deal, or is it something that we should expect in the near future, I guess is the question. All right. Well, we're running up against the top of the hour. We got Willy Keppel. He's going to be joining us here in a few moments via telephone from the bush. We're going to talk with him and see what he has to say. That's coming up here in hour 2. He's running for House District 28. There you go. The Michael Duke Show continues. You're home for common sense. No, not 28, 26. It's one of those districts out there in the bush. We'll be back with more right after this. $38, not 28, 38. Okay. Let's get Willy on the telephone, shall we? Let's see. See if we can get this running here. Come on. It's thinking. It's thinking hard. All right, let's try that one more time. Let's try that one more time. See if we can get it to dial out. Come on. There we go. Now it's working.
Hello.
Good morning, Willy. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. All right. If you want to hold on a second, I'm going to get everything squared away for the top of the hour. Then we'll be right back to you, okay?
Sounds like a winner, thank you.
All right, hold the line here. Willy Keppel on the phone with us here, ready to go. Let me get the rest of my stuff squared away. Anyway, How was your guys' weekends? I didn't ask. I should have asked to begin with. It's been an interesting. What the freaking freak? All right, I'm deleting that. Yes. All right, let's try that again, shall we? The people on the podcast, you just got to be like, what is going on there? Well, I would tell you, but, it's me trying to put all the pieces together in the middle of no, that's not the one I wanted, but I guess that'll work. I don't know. I guess that's it. Okay. All right. So anyway, there we go. All right. Got it done. Got it done. So we're going to talk with Willy Keppel here from Quinnahock, which is just outside of, it's not just outside, but it's just a ways outside of Bethel. And we will be talking with him here in just a hot second. And we'll be getting squared away here in just a minute. All right, let me go back over to let me turn the phones off first because ain't nobody got time for that right now. No phones. Goodbye. All right, phones are off, and let me go back over to the comments. Okay, here we go. See what you guys have been talking about. Kyle says, I've known Nancy very well and served with her. She does what she's told 100% of the time. She's never had any political identity other than as a fill-in. Oof. That's, that's, I mean, it's not a ringing endorsement, right? I mean, she's nice, but again, she just, oh, dang. Kyle says she was rudderless long before she was commissioner of the DOC, Department of Correction. She has quit and been appointed to more jobs than I can count. That's not good. Okay. Let's see. I'm scrolling backwards. Way to go, Kristen, says AK Freedom over on Rumble. Brian, when I said I felt like I was a part of it, he goes, well, we did our part by not hitting her with our cars on those rough, narrow roads. Well, okay, great. I guess that's the least we could do, Brian. Is that what it is? It's a minor contribution. It's the least we could do. Yes, always start Monday with positive crap. Got all week to go downhill. Yeah, I wasn't going to read this stuff. I mean, I thought about it, but I'm just not going to do it. You're interviewing for a job in Tempe, aren't you? Nope, not going to do it. I am going to Homer. Terry's right. I am going to Homer. Mother Nature has no bounds. I'm going to meet with the secret cabal. Yes. Where we're going to take over the world and leave everyone alone. That's the whole point of my secret cabal. I'm just scrolling down here. Let's see. Your birthday was yesterday. Chris says, my birthday was yesterday. Had a good time. Happy birthday, my friend. Let's see. Brian had a good day yesterday. Son-in-law and her husband are in town. Kids came over for a fresh salmon on a cedar shingle and a good bourbon. Oh man, that sounds delicious. Donna says, I want to live in Homer. Doesn't everyone, Donna? Doesn't everyone want to live in Homer? I mean, come on, let's be real. My weekend was great. I was honored to walk Gail Moore down the aisle to marry Mike Coons. Well, congratulations. That's amazing. I had no idea. That's amazing. That's great. Let's see. Yeah, Donna, and you're right, Terry. Donna is a good idea. You belong in Alaska. Monday is my birthday, said Greg. Yeah, that's right. I forgot Greg and I's birthdays were just a couple days apart. So it'll be fantastic.
Whoa, buddy. Put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
The greed and the entitlement is astounding to me.
What more could you want from a low-budget radio program?
This is a dumpster fire.
Sounds just BS.
It is time to get a new perspective.
We know just what you need, and we've got just the cure. Open wide and prepare for a steaming hot cup of freedom.
I just don't fathom it.
The Michael Dukes Show, streaming live across the world.
Yep, live around the world on the internet at MichaelDukesShow.com and across the state of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station and our FM translator. Good morning. Also simulcasting live as of right now. We just fixed it here this last week. We're now simulcasting it on, of course, Facebook and YouTube as usual, and now we're on Rumble, which apparently is the big platform for a lot of folks. I saw Charlie Kirk's out there, Dan Bongino's out there. There's a whole bunch of folks out on Rumble. Anyway, all my listeners kept saying I should get on Rumble. So it was a little bit of an ordeal, but we finally did it. And we're on Rumble this morning, and we're happy about it. It's exciting. Yay! It's our first real solid broadcast on Rumble. And so go join us out there. If you want to go to rumble.com, just put my name in the search bar, because apparently they don't give you a special address unless you're a bigwig on Rumble. So every place else, it's just facebook.com/Michael Duke Show or youtube.com/Michael Duke Show. Anyway, hour 2 of the big radio show today. Before I jump over to our guest, who is Willy Keppel out in Quinnahock, which is just out by Bethel, I do want to remind folks, because everybody gets butthurt if I don't tell them early. Not that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying I wanted to tell you. I will be off this Friday for my birthday. I got some traveling to do, and then potentially Monday, but we'll see how Monday is. We'll see how that goes. But Friday for sure. I'm off on Friday, and we will let you know as we get closer to the end of the week about Monday, and we'll decide from there. Meanwhile, that's it. That's all my housekeeping. It's time to jump into this and go over to Willy Keppel, who joins us from Quinnahock. He is our guest here today to talk about his run for House District, not 28, as I said earlier. I was a little confused, but 38. And let's get into him here and see what he has to say. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Well, good morning, Alaska. I'm doing just lovely out here. 50 degrees on the coast of the Bering Sea, and a little bit of yellow starting to show up in the willow bush leaves, and that's the only kind of bush we have is willow. So, termination season, you know?
Right.
But we're happy to be here, and yeah, we're like 75 miles as the crow flies, 76, something like that, south of Bethel, headed towards Dillingham on the coast down here. And we're part of Senate District S, which is Hillside Senator Lyman Hoffman, and that includes District 37, which is south of where the Yukon Kuskokwim Yukon Flats right out here, the Delta here. 57 villages were in the Bethel area, and we're part of the Alaska Peninsula as part of Senate District S, which is Bryce Edgman and down there with the Aleutians. And actually, this Senate district takes in a whole lot of area. It goes clear up Bryce's area. It goes from the bottom of the Aleutians to the Yukon River, if you can imagine that. But, that's gerrymandering at its best here in the last 2020 rearrangements of districts. But anyway, this is where we're at out here.
Well, welcome to the program, and thanks for coming on board and joining us. So let's talk a little bit first about, because you're a regular listener to the program and you're a regular contributor. You've called in quite a few times. Tell us a little bit about Willy Keppel. Who are you? Where do you come from? Give me the full rundown here. Give me the background here, Willy.
You bet. Well, I grew up in western Montana. Graduated from Hamilton High School in '72. Joined the Army. Did the volunteer draft. I wasn't drafted, but they still had that option open for 2 years. So I figured out what the heck. I was looking at my dad and my grandfather, both veterans, Navy veterans, and I wasn't smart enough to find a good clean cot. I went to the Army instead. But anyway, I moved to Alaska after I finished up my tour with the Army, and I came up in '77, the spring of '77, right before the first barrels of oil flew down the Trans-Alaska Pipeline. So I spent 10 years out in the Copper Valley thinking, well, sooner or later they're going to be putting some gas pipelines through there. And I was working Prudhoe Bay, Cook Inlet offshore platforms, Cook Inlet drill platforms up there, pad maintenance for when they weren't drilling. So a lot of time up there, plus doing other construction jobs all around the state. Went down to ADAC and spent a really long summer and early winter down there one year, and that was a unique experience, but it was kind of fun. It was Marines and the Navy. It was sixth biggest place in Alaska at the time, sixth biggest city, and they had way more there than they have in all the rest of the district. They had McDonald's, they had all kinds of stuff. So that was pretty cool. But I ended up chasing bears and sheep was always my love of life. And so I big game guided for, 15, 16 years, I guess. And I ended up out here, came to Bethel. First time I ever saw Bethel, I had a friend that was from Cal Skag, and I finished up guiding with a lodge. That was up on the Stony River, halfway between Lime Village and Stony down on the Kuskokwim. Flew down, got to Red Devil, took the small plane, hopped down to Cal Skag, and we went and built a log raft and took logs over 100 miles, built a huge log raft, all the spruce and stuff that had washed up in the spring, and built. That's a common way to get wood. And so my first trip to Bethel was on a log raft in '87. And I lived in Bethel until about 10 years ago. And then I moved down here to Quinhagak, and this is where I'm at.
So
that's pretty much me.
That's pretty much you. That's pretty much where you got stuff going on. Tell me a little bit about your decision to run for office, because I imagine being out in the woods is not it's probably not a reason that you decided, let's just jump into this with both feet kind of thing. What made you decide to run for political office at this point?
Well, I think I got the bug when I lived in Copper Center, and we had Senator Jack Coghill, and he used to travel up and down doing his yearly adventures, and he did more than yearly. He came through the area out there, and you'd go to the gatherings, and I got to talking with Jack Coghill, whom I hugely admire. And he is the one that got me interested and started on politics, going, it can only get worse if you don't get involved. And apparently even getting involved sometimes doesn't help a lot. It kind of depends on how the voters in the area are. And anyway, I ended up out here, and I made my first run. I think it was 2002 or something at Lyman Hoffman, and didn't win that naturally. And then nobody ran against Lyman for another 20 years until I ran against him here. He went 20 years unchallenged out here. And but I was into I always was into bird dog and government. Did a lot of committees, sat on a lot of committees for the city of Bethel, filled in for a year on the city council, and it was just something that I've always liked, and politics interests me a lot. I love to read. If you live in the middle of nowhere, you better be a reader, either that or a gamer. I've never played a game yet. My daughter's got a fancy game machine. She doesn't even bother to ask me anymore to come play games. I go, no, there's something I can read and learn here somewhere out here on the internet now that we have Starlink, which should be a mandatory deal for every school district in the state that is off the road system to have to at least go to bid, but they're not. And that's one of my main beefs right there with the broadband and the politics that are happening. But anyway, I guess this is kind of what got me into it. I just have always had a natural knack for it. And like you say, I'm probably what you call a perennial candidate. But I always figure people need to have a choice no matter what. And when you live out here and you know that everybody is pretty friggin' liberal, they're all on the free wagon for the most part. Conservative is a pretty tough way to make a living out here. So that's what got me into it.
So, again, yeah, you've been kind of a watchdog, I guess I would say, for things that have been going on out there. And you've been watching this. You talked about Lyman Hoffman, but now you've decided to run in this race for the House, where C.J. McCormick is the current candidate. And this is kind of a crowded field. You're a member of the Veterans Party of Alaska. So you're the only non-Democrat in this four-person race. Can you give me a little bit of background on the Veterans Party, because I'm not that familiar with it?
Well, actually, the Veterans Party was a going thing when I ran against Tiffany 5 years ago, or four years ago, and then Lyman 2 years ago. And I just saved my signs so I can reuse them again, but from running against Tiffany. But the Veterans Party was up and going then, and now the Veterans Party is pretty much a party of just a few people, and it's pretty much I'm about as independent as you can get. Is about the best way to describe it that I can. We're Constitution, balanced budget, and God, and that's where it started, and that's where I'm at.
All right. Well, that's good stuff. We're going to get into this here in just a second with Willy Keppel. We're going to start talking about specifics with, education funding, financial plan, defined benefits, energy, South Central energy, which Willy really doesn't have a part of, but we'll get his take on it as somebody out from the rural communities as well. We'll continue here in just a moment. Willy Keppel is our guest. The Michael Duke Show continues. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. We'll return with more here in just a moment.
We're broadcasting live through a series of tubes.
Allowing all of these entities to provide streaming stuff going on the internet.
Well, it's kind of hard to explain. Sorry. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
All right, we're back. Willy Keppel is our guest here on the program. Willie, I have to laugh because you were just talking about the Starlink, and you guys have been using that. I know before you and I had a conversation a couple of years ago where, I mean, you were using GCI and it wasn't that reliable for you. And in fact, you had you had some real problems there for that, and it was multiple $100s per month, right? I mean, this was not a cheap deal.
I was paying for GCI at the time. I was paying $330 was a pretty normal bill. It all depended on your data usage. But if I really wanted to tune in and watch any 360 North and see what was happening at legislative hearings and stuff, I was looking at well over $400 a month, and that's just par for everybody out here. And yeah, I had a lot of problems with GCI, and I still have a lot of problems with GCI. I'm paying $90 a month right now for GCI, same as everybody else out here. Like I just said, my daughter has a gaming thing. She's on there. I can't tell when the game machine's on. She's got another cabin out here on the property, and she camps out there. That's her place. And I can't tell when she's using full bore gaming.
Because you mean
Starlink.
You said GCI, but you mean Starlink, right? For $90 a month.
$90 for Starlink, yes. Yeah. And, and I can't tell the difference with all of that. Before, you couldn't even run a gaming machine except for the first few days of the month because you'd go through all your data. Right. And before you even got through your data, then they put you on a slowdown speed as if it could get slower, And so I've never been happier, same as everybody else. I mean, they're running the line up the coast out here right now. And this was a big deal. I fought long and hard to try and get every legislator in Juneau to vote against Lyman Hoffman's bill to add more money to bailing out GCI is what it basically boils down to, trying to get the broadband deal going out here.
Right.
And every legislator I talked to, there was a few that voted against expanding the program and pulling $125 million from our permanent fund, because that's where it came from. They went, yeah, but it's free money. It's free money. It's government money. We just have to match 20%. Hey, there's nothing in the world that's free, and what your free money has got them is every village out here gets a bill for $4 million for your stupid GCI. Right now, instead of Starlink,
right?
And so there's nothing to be gained there, and it's one of the things I want to fight, because when there's other options, it should be mandatory that every school district goes to bid out here in the bush, because it's not just Starlink. There's OneNet they're doing it for the lower Yukon district, and they picked up, I think, the upriver mid Kuskokwim areas. So those schools are all they're on satellite right now, and their price is 1/10 of the price of GCI.
Yeah.
And so here we are, and we're going there. And since we're on schools here, I'd like to talk a little bit about schools.
Well, hold on before we're about to rejoin. We're about to rejoin the radio here. So don't get ahead of me too far here. So we're going to jump into this here, and we'll talk about that here in just a hot second. Willy Keppel is our guest. The Michael Duke Show continues. Folks, please like and share. You can like and follow the show page as well if you want to be part of it. You could check us out on Rumble. You could check us out on Facebook and YouTube. A lot of you are out there right now doing our thing. Let's continue on with this. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio. Let's get to it here. We are 10 seconds out right now with Willy Keppel joining us on the Michael Duke Show. Let's do it. Here we go.
The Michael Duke Show. Seriously humorous with a pinch of intellect. Sorry. That is humorous. Here's Michael Dukes.
All right. We are ready to go. Continuing on right now with Willy Keppel, candidate for House District 38. Before we went to break, we were talking about a bunch of other stuff, and I want to continue on with this right now with Willy and kind of dive into it, just like I've done with all the other candidates throughout this election cycle. Willy, I want to talk a little bit about the big elephant in the room for this session, and that was education. Of course, there was a huge push to try and increase the BSA, the base student allocation. And that was, they did not succeed as much as they'd wanted. They got some success, obviously. They also have the BAG grant, which is for the rural assistance for internet. So give me your thoughts right now on the state of education in the state, the base student allocation, the BAG grants and the internet grants, and where you think, especially somebody who lives out in the bush, what's your position on all this?
Well, I was talking with a legislator here not long ago, and she goes, you have a whole different perspective than what we hear down here in Juneau. And I go, of course, the boys and girls that come from out here are all bought and owned by the union. They don't want anything different coming out. The only thing they're interested in is we need more money, more money, more money. And of course, there's only one place that comes. That's the PFD. Well, I do a radio show out here every Friday for 25 minutes on Friday mornings, and I've been on this kick that schools don't need more money. What we need an adjustment of the minds, and that's the parental guidance that is failing to get kids to school on time. And there's this deal. You can Google up State of Alaska deeds, DEEDS. And when you do that, you're going to find every school district in the state, every school that's within the state, and you can start going through it, and you can look at all kinds of things in there, test scores, truancy rates. And when you hit truancy rates, it is shocking. It is totally shocking. And so my gig out here is, we're different. We are truly different than urban Alaska when it comes to just about everything. And if my approach to this is, if the shoe fits, then feel free to wear it. But what I'd like to be able to do is get some guidance to where the Director of Education, the Secretary of Education, has the ability to put her foot down from Juneau or Anchorage, wherever that person lives, and say, wait a minute, we're done. There's some things we can do out here to buoy attendance in a village where there's absolutely nothing else that should be entertaining the kid during the day besides going to school, because there's nothing. There's no shopping malls, nothing.
Right.
And my approach to that is that we have a control weapons that we are all paying for, and one of them is called open gym, and it's the biggest thing in any village out here. All the people, the younger people, want to go down after hours, and the school opens up, and they can all go down, dribble basketball. They have their after-hour leagues and everything else, and what the state has is the way to every day. You and I can't look at it, but every educator in the state can look at it. Every administrator can look at it, because it's like in the Army, they call it a morning report, and that's where every soldier is at for the day. And it's filed, and it's on a computer, and the superintendent down here can go, Quinnipiac, you're 45% truancy today. If this continues, open gym closes. And instead of putting it on the local school boards, which are all advisory, and through all these villages, I think there's 27 villages, 25 villages that are in the lower Kuskokwim district, you're not going to get the advisory school boards to want to be the one to pull the plug on open gym, because that is the thing, and they fight tooth and nail to be able to keep it. But I look at it as, if you can't get your kids to school, there's no reason to have an open gym, and gyms should shut down. And it's a motivator factor, because when we're looking at Bethel across the state, you go through the deeds, you'll see it. Bethel starts with approximately 100 students starting their freshman year in high school, and by the time they end, they're 50% down. Right around 50 people graduate. And so and Anchorage, look at Anchorage. What do they have? 9 schools that are 50% or less of capacity. So, of course, the unions need more money, because they're not getting the base student allocation for all these kids that are no longer there. This is what the increase is for. They want to keep the same schools open. They want the same projects available to be able to do all the flights out here every weekend. It's a charter flight from every village that goes for sports. The kids need activities. Yep, that's cool. But do we need them every weekend, especially if only half the kids are showing up at the school? $12,000 for a charter to go dribble a basketball, and that's no exaggeration. It's what it costs to move these teams around out here. And so I'm going, this is for the bush. We have different ways to approach things that would never work for anywhere else in the urban world of Alaska. But they also need to have ways that they can override the local school boards that are sitting in here and say, shape up, or we're gonna close down a privilege that it's a privilege, and it needs to be shut down. You need to concentrate. And I guarantee you shut this basketball gym court down for 1 week here, everybody is pretty much related, second, third, fourth cousins, one way or the other. There will be more peer pressure put on these young parents that want to sit up all night and play games, and the kids can just sit there and go without breakfast when they get up, and they get up 10, 11 o'clock and don't even bother to take kids in then. We have to have an attitude adjustment out here. I'm a strong supporter in charter schools, homeschooling, whatever makes it work for you. I'm in favor of that. Out here, what we have is one school that we pay huge bucks for, and we need to make them work, because that's just the way it is out here. That you're not going to see homeschooling take off and rock and roll. It won't happen, because most of the people don't have the education to be able to do it anyway. So that's where I'm at on schools and funding. I would vote against any base student allocation that's a permanent increase. And until we start having responsibilities attached and requirements attached to the fundings that are going into the schools, I would say start cutting back. I mean, if you're dealing, as far as I'm concerned, when you're dealing with 53 school districts in this state, there's way too much redundancy in the first place. We need to start figuring out how to combine a whole bunch of these. I could see cutting down to at least 10 school districts in this state. Same with the university system. Why do we have 3 chancellors, 3 board of regents, all this redundancy, and they can't even keep the damn classrooms full in Anchorage and Fairbanks?
Right.
Why?
Well, I mean, I think you're pointing out some great things. I mean, to me, as I look at this, I mean, there should be nothing competing. If you've got your kids that are going to the schools, there should be nothing competing with the schools, open at the same time. Like you said, there shouldn't be an open gym or something else, which gives them the ability to then wander off and do that. I think that definitely is problematic, to say the least. And we should be pushing for that. The 53 school districts, the duplication of effort is a huge problem. I mean, if you've got 53, payroll supervisors and 53 guidance counselors and 53 superintendents and 53 of everything, especially for districts that are pretty small in the long run. I mean, when you look at, maybe they've only got 100 or 200 students. We've got districts in the lower 48 where they've got 15, 20, 30,000 students in it. I'm not saying we need to consolidate down to one, but maybe we ought to start talking about finding a way to remove some of that duplication of effort and make things a little easier.
Well, I'm looking at that, and the other one that just really jerks my chain and has for years is why are we pulling our permanent fund dollars that come out here to the bush? And I don't care, even in Anchorage, you have your low income areas. Fairbanks, I'm sure, has them. We have these areas within our communities that are low income, and yet you pull the PFD away from them. It only makes it harder for them to succeed. It drives people into depression. It doesn't help the economy, and it sure doesn't help the attitude. Yet we're taking money from those communities and throwing it at the University of Alaska. And I'm going, wait a minute here. The University of Alaska is a land grant system. What are we getting out of the land grant? Are they leasing areas for coal mining? Are they turning loose of any of their southeast timber? Are they allowing anybody to go down with ground thumpers and look for oil and gas on the Kenai Peninsula or anywhere else in the state that they have all this property? What do we get out of this other than we just throw a huge pile of money at the university system year after year, and they sit on their resources and watch the poor people suffer? And it's a horrible ordeal as far as I'm concerned. I really truly think that the University of Alaska should be buying its own way. You don't want to turn that property loose to generate funds like you were set up in the Constitution to do. Well, then you want funding, start turning over equal property back to the state, and the state will figure out how to lease it and generate $1 or $2 off of it.
Right.
I mean, we have to do something. We're outspending what we have. We don't have the revenue to pay for what we have.
Willy Keppel is our guest candidate for House District 38. So if I gave you the magic wand, Willy, what would you say the solution is for our educational woes, money-wise and aptitude-wise, for achievement-wise? What do we need to do?
We need to quit funding them at the rate we're funding. They don't need all these extra boosts of cash. What they need to do is they need to make the schools live within their means, same as a family needs to live within their means. The legislature should have been living within their means, but have blown through, $14 billion in our savings account, and how much have they blown through in the ERA? Well, I can think of Tiffany Zolkowski before she left. 2 years in a row, they moved $3 billion out of the ERA, moved it over to the corpus, and all the time telling us that she's going to pay as much of the PFD as possible without cutting vital services. Well, wait a minute. How do you adjust to what's a vital service? If you live in the bush, the PFD probably provided more help for vital services than about anything else.
Right,
right. I mean, we're paying $8.39 a gallon for gasoline here right now. That's what we paid last year too.
Yeah.
I mean, who's making these decisions is what I'm trying to get to,
Yeah, no, I agree. I think if you look at this, the cutting of the PFD had the most detrimental impact especially to rural communities, because that was the largest influx of cash into the communities, and it gave them the ability to make their own decisions, and they should have followed up with it. All right, well, we're coming up on the break here, Willy, so we're going to take another quick one. This is a quick hour for sure. Willy Keppel's our guest. When we get back, we're going to talk about a fiscal plan, and we're going to talk maybe a little bit, if we have time, about some South Central gas, since it affects a lot of us, but not folks like Willy, or maybe it does. We'll see what Willy has to say about that The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio.
Listened to by more staffers in Juneau than any other show, because their bosses told them to. And after what they just heard, oh man, they're going to be pissed.
You're a bad, bad man.
The Michael Duke Show.
Okay, Willy Keppel, our guest here on the program. Willie, do you have, I want to get to this. I don't know if we'll have enough time in the last segment, so maybe I'll just short circuit it and get to it here. What are your thoughts on the whole South Central gas situation right now? Is that the legislature's, is that something they should be dabbling in? Should they be talking about, royalty credits and all this other kind of stuff to try and spur that? Or should we just import gas? What's your position on that? And how does it affect you in the bush?
It hugely affects us in the bush because everything that comes to the bush either goes through Anchorage or Fairbanks. I mean, your costs go up, our costs go up. it's something that I'm keeping an eye on. And I worked a year and a half on the Dolly Varden platform outside of Kenai there, and I know that we cemented in wells because they were producing gas and not oil, and it was Marathon we were working for. That was the Dolly was a Marathon rig, and that was in the early 80s. And I'm going, I have no idea how much has been wells that have been cemented in, how much gas is underneath that. But I believe this is a legislative issue, and it really irks my chain that we're watching Anchorage, the city council, talk about eliminating 300,000 kilowatts of electricity by shutting down a hydroelectric project in favor of a few salmon.
Right.
I just don't understand what they're doing. But yes, it hugely affects us, and I'm totally in favor of, since we have a known coal deposit of 500 years of constant burning, of putting up coal-fired plants to produce electricity to put in the power lines. And if we're really that short of natural gas, it needs to stay to where it can be running through the gas lines and heating houses, because gas heats a lot more efficiently than electricity. But we can offset the electricity by setting up coal-fired plants. And this is where EPA, I'm so sick and tired of EPA. I hate the federal government anyway. But China and India are setting up and basically turning on a new coal-fired plant that wouldn't meet EPA standards by any means. About every week and a half between those two countries, there's another new coal-fired plant go up. And this is where we send all our recyclable materials to get recycled and sent back to us, and we can't even begin to compete. Why aren't we competing with it? We have coal. We could have a smelter in Alaska to handle all of that scrap metal that goes from the West Coast overseas just to come back through a foreign country back to us as a product. There's a lot of things Alaska could do. And I'd like to get back one more time here just on the school real quick. Nothing irks me more than to see a brand new school go up out here. All schools are built on pilings, and these schools are getting super expensive, between 30 and 40 million bucks in every village. And I'm going, what's the major cost? And most people don't realize that the single biggest cost is to redesign the wheel. In other words, the state always buys another brand new blueprint from the architects and engineers in Anchorage and Fairbanks to come back out here. Well, why don't we build a fleet of schools that are all the same? You buy the blueprint, and that's it. The villages are all basically the same size. The only difference is yeah, how many classrooms do you really need, and how many should we put on? And if we need more in the future, yeah, they're easy to add on. You need a constant blueprint, but instead that 30-40 million bucks is recycled, is going straight into engineering firms and architectural firms in the metropolitan areas, just to redesign the wheel. That was one on schools that really irks me out here. And if you could see the mess they're building in Bethel right now, you'd be irked too. I guess probably let's talk taxes for a second. We all should know we're headed to taxes. There's no way the permanent fund is going to last.
Right.
Lyman Hoffman's been stating for years before he retires, which will be 2 years, there will be no more permanent fund left. And anybody that doesn't believe that just needs to think back 3 years ago when the Senate passed the full PFD in the budget, sent it to the House for concurrence, and boom, all of a sudden, at ease, Louise is slamming the gavel down and the House screeches to a halt for 3 days while every union member in the state goes running down there to lobby the legislators to not pay that full PFD.
Right. Hold on, Willie. Hold on. You're up to a head of steam here, and I've got to return to the radio. So hold the line for just a second. We're gonna pick this. We're gonna pick this up on the other side and continue. Willy Keppel's our guest candidate for House District 38. The Michael Duke Show continues. Common sense, liberty based, free thinking radio. Here we go.
The Michael Duke Show. Not your daddy. Wait, sorry. Not your daddy? Ooh, not your daddy's talk radio. Huh. Whew. I was scared for a second. Thought we were going down. Here's Michael Dukes and the show.
All right, we're continuing now. Willy Keppel is our guest candidate for House District 38. During the break there, we just started getting into this whole idea of a fiscal plan, and we started off with the PFD. And you kind of stole a little bit of my thunder there, Willie, because I've been talking about this for a while. I mean, the fiscal outlook, the 10-year plan from the governor, shows that we're in deficits moving forward and that the PFD is going to be gone. I mean, taxes are, you just said it, taxes are inevitable. And so recap that for me. I mean, the PFD is going away. You said even Lyman Hoffman is talking about it.
Yes, and Lyman says it'll be gone before he retires. Lyman retires in 2 years, and that's because there's no ethics and no division of elections and no lieutenant governor doing their job. But that's a whole nother story. Let's move over to Bryce Edgman now. We've been playing a clip out here of Bryce Edgman that from years ago when Bryce is talking about the PFD, Bryce is going, we're going to take it with or without the public's consent. And we've been playing the clip. It's Bryce talking. Bryce was honest. He was flat honest. Lyman's being honest about it. The people that aren't being honest about it are all the ones going, well, we can do this, we can do that, and then they still vote to take it. There's a lot of confusion going down there, but the bottom line is the PFD is going to go away. So now we're looking at taxes, and I'm going to tell you, people that live in the interior and you don't have sales taxes, the last thing in life you want is a sales tax, because the federal government, some judge somewhere along the line says that the city can tax anything and everything that you buy online. It don't even have to be a service that's provided in your community. You can get taxed for it, and that's exactly what's going on out here in the bush. Bethel has a 6%. Our village has a 3% sales tax, and that's the tax that's applied to everything you buy online. And I'm really opposed to that. I believe if the service isn't provided, you don't get a tax for it. And I think that there should be something that goes in front of the voters to approve and say, you don't sell it, you don't get a reap a benefit from it. And the other tax that I'm in favor of, a flat tax, but I don't ever see it passing, because it's hard to write loopholes into it. If you look back, I think it was 2 years ago that Representative Elise Gavin introduced her version of income tax for the state. And I'm listening to it, and I'm listening to her talk, and all of a sudden, here she has a cap on taxes at about $250,000. And I'm going, well, that's just saying the top 20%, because that's where they plug the top 20% in is pretty much the $250,000 mark.
Right.
But after you cross that $250,000, you're tax free according to Elise. And I'm going, no, that ain't going to cut it either, because they want to keep the taxes to the top 20% wants to keep the taxes on the poorest people and pay the least amount. That's how they got as rich as they got. And so I see it that they're going to try and shove a sales tax at us first. That's the one that the governor's even sitting here. Well, we'll get those slope workers, and we're going to get that 3% tax on that beer they drink at the airport before they escape, And I'm going, nah, that's just another tax it's a regressive tax on the poorest people, and it's not going to cover the gap that they're already stealing from the PFD. So that means they're going to have to come in again with a second tax in a few years to totally fill the gap of that 2.4 billion, whatever it is last year that they used from the permanent fund. So anyway, I'm all about listening to taxes, because I'm sure that's where we're going to have to go. But the only way I'm going to vote for a tax in Juneau is if there's a rider on that tax bill that says it has to go to the voters for approval.
Right.
Same Title 29. You live in a municipality, first, second class, or home rule city. City councils can pass all the taxes they want, but they don't go in effect till they actually get the voters' approval. And I believe that's what we need to do.
Right.
Otherwise, we're just going to find ourselves still playing, the poorest people in the state are going to be playing second fiddle to the rich all the way down the line, and there will never be a break from it,
Well,
so taxes.
Yeah. Well, let's talk
sorry.
about that as a holistic. Let's talk about that as a holistic thing. So, I mean, the Fiscal Policy Working Group came out and said, okay, there's 8 or 9 things that we need to do together. One of it was some form of tax. They talked about a sales tax, but it could be any kind of tax. They talked about cuts. They talked about a spending cap. They talked about enshrining the PFD. They talked about increasing the taxes on the oil companies to another $400 or $500 million. It was a holistic plan. Is that something that you can get behind?
I was behind it all the way, and the sad part was we did 3 special sessions that year and 30 days dedicated to the working groups, what they were called, and they come up with this plan. And I'm going, yeah, they're exactly right. But how far did it go? They came out of that 30-day session, went into another 30-day session, and we never heard another single word about anything that both sides had sat down and agreed to that we needed. The closest thing we came to this year was Representative Ben Carpenter coming up with HJR 7, which was, all right, let's have a serious discussion about the permanent fund. We'll send it to the voters and we'll ask them, shall we enshrine a portion, all of the PFD, the statutory, or a portion of it? It didn't matter. It would have had to come back. It needed to go to the voters, and it needed to be the voters saying, you're going to settle this PFD issue right now, which they do not want to do because they know they're going to wipe the PFD out within 2 years. They're going to stall. It's not in anyone's favor. That is all about bigger, better, more government. The last thing they want to do is put an end to the issue. But Ben Carpenter was exactly right. We should have passed that this year, and it should have been on the friggin' ballot coming up.
Yeah.
And we should have had a long conversation. And if they came up with, we're only going to pay $100 PFD, and it's in the Constitution, and they have the votes to be able to do it, then that's what it would be. At least we'd all know, and that portion of the fight would be over. And you could always go back later once you decided you had more money, which, talking about money, I'm a little agitated right now at the state. They played this stock market loss. We didn't hear jack diddle from them on what our permanent fund was doing. And if you follow the Senate majority, for those of you that don't know, and you can sign up, and they send out all kinds of news every morning. It's a whole long list of news that happens all over the state, all over the nation. At the bottom of that feed, you can go down there and you can look at the daily estimated value of our corpus. That corpus stayed the same for 4 days while the whole market was falling. And what they finally come up with when you did the numbers, after about 5-6 days, sixth day, they finally come out, I think. And we, for $16 million, is all we lacked of losing $1 billion in our permanent fund corpus, according to the state, just this last week.
Right. And who's paying attention to that? All right. I want to, I've only got a few minutes here left, Willie. So first and foremost, before I give you the floor for your final thoughts, what sets you apart from the incumbent right now? CJ McCormick is currently holding the seat. What makes you a better choice than CJ in this regard? Give me your particulars here.
Well, I look at C.J. McCormick as a 25-year-old wokey. He's spent his whole life down there fighting and combating to get gender-confused people into girls' sports, into girls' and women's locker rooms, into their restrooms, and I'm totally against that. He votes to eliminate the PFD. He could care less. He doesn't have a clue in life about what he's doing. He just ran a big ad out here. And this is what I brought to the district, and I just pulled up a page out of the Senate Finance on District 38 for capital projects, and here's all these claims. I did this, millions and millions and millions of dollars. No, Lyman Hoffman and the Senate did that. All you did was push a red or a green button to vote to pass budget. That was it. He has nothing to show. His temper tantrums, he melts down. You watch 360 North, and he has a bad habit of melting down. He doesn't have a good temper.
Right.
Let's put it that way, not in my opinion anyway.
Right.
And he's just totally woke.
All right. Well,
I can't put it wider.
All right. Well, let's move on to the final rundown here. This is a chance where I give you the chance to make your final closing thoughts, make your elevator pitch, and how do people find out more about you?
Well, I'm doing everything a little bit different because we are different out here, and you're going to start seeing off of my Facebook feeds and feeds out here. I've got Yupik ads coming up just from Yupik people and friends that I've had for supporters for years that are going to do everything in Yupik so we can get and reach the elders in the villages. I'm not spending money. I'm not taking money from anybody. I'm just whatever goes in. I'm putting my own money. I'm not bought by the unions. Unlike C.J. McCormick, all his money is pretty much his union or outside monies. There's a huge difference in us. That's pretty much where I'm at. And I think the interesting point is I think this may be one of the places where ranked choice voting, where the Democrats have 3, is going to come back to haunt them.
All right, Willy Keppel, our guest for today. Thank you so much, Willie, for coming on board and joining us. We appreciate it. Hold the line for just a second. Folks, we got more coming up tomorrow, bright and early, 6 a.m., Brad Keithley will be joining us. Chris Story, The Michael Duke Show. Common Sense Radio. We'll see you tomorrow. Be kind, love one another, live well. All right, we'll give Willie one final bite at the apple here, Willie. If there's something we didn't hit on or something you want to expand on, now's the time to do it. We'll give you the last couple minutes here.
You bet. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm standing by.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think that one of the things what we see out here and people ought to be aware of is the amount of effort that the federal government is going in to try to take over our resources, being fish and game, and our rivers and the lands, and who runs and who controls. That's why we have a lawsuit on the lower Kuskokwim right now with the feds right now. Who's going to control that? Who's controlling the fish? And I'm hugely pro-state. And I don't like anything coming from Washington, D.C., because I don't trust D.C. to be taking care of our best interests out here. So I'm going to do what I can to back the governor and the court with all the money they need to fight the feds. Yeah, and that's kind of one of the things that everybody should be aware of, because they're wanting to lock us down to where we can't do anything.
Yeah, no, we need to have some state determination. We need to be able to do what we need to do with our own resources. I mean, we've been so bottlenecked by the Statehood Act with only 25% of land in state hands. The rest of it is in the federal government's hands, with a very small percentage in the Native Corps and in the private hands. We need to be able to expand that, and the federal government coming in and shutting us down seems to really be counter to what we need to do in the state.
Well, it really agitated me. The feds got themselves into a lawsuit on the Kuskokwim, and then this last winter they came down and tried to take over the bottom 12 miles of the Knicktawk River here in Quinnahock. And I went orbital over that. I had Senator Dan Sullivan's staff listening to the meetings and the hearings going on down here, and the feds backed off down here. Go screw up what you already screwed up. They don't even put biologists out here, for Pete's sake. They go off of the state's biologist numbers and then come out here with all these committees to try and figure out what they want to do with their regulations. And I'm going, no, we only need one bunch of people to deal with. Everything else gets too confused, and it's just bad all the way around. So look out, Alaska. These guys, the feds are trying to shut us down, and you don't even realize it, because you never hear about these little places out here where they grab a piece here, grab a piece there. And it's our economy that they're grabbing.
All right. Well, Willie, thank you so much for coming on board. As always, it's a pleasure to speak with you. And I think you got a lot of support from the listeners here. Now, hopefully that translates into a lot of support from folks in your area. We can only hope. We know you got an uphill battle out there.
Well, I really appreciate the time, and I love all the people on this show, because they got some good ideas. If we could only get more legislators to listen to the comments that come through on here, I think we'd be in a lot better shape in Alaska right now.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for having me.
I appreciate it, Willie. Thanks for calling in. We'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for being part of it. All right, folks. Well, that does it for today. We're ready to pull the plug and jump on over to tomorrow. Man, we're already at tomorrow. That's kind of crazy stuff. Thanks for coming on board. We will talk to you guys 6 a.m. tomorrow morning with Brad Keithley. Don't forget to check your antifreeze and change your oil. Come on. Is it that? Oh man. Is it snow? Is it coming soon? I don't even want to talk about it. Let's vote for no snow till after Thanksgiving. Or maybe after Halloween again. I don't know if we should do that again. That kind of backfired on us. All right, folks. Thanks for coming on board. We'll see you tomorrow. Be kind, love one another, live well. Have a great day.
We've shed our terrestrial radio skin, and now we are slimy lizard internet people. It's the Michael Duke Show.